To thanks for this opportunity, to thanks my colleague Dario Cassani of EBZ for having organized this conference and for this invitation, but also to thanks Irena Weber for the hospitality. It's a great pleasure to be here, and of course His Excellency the Italian Ambassador is here, and all the guests and people here attending this conference. It's an honor for me to be here. I'm the General Manager of SRM, which is an economic research center, part of the Intesa Sanpaolo Banking Group. And we are proud today to make the presentation of this report. I suppose you receive and you have the report called Energy and Transition, an outlook for Croatia. The paper has been produced in cooperation with the Energy Center and Energy Security Lab of the Polytechnical University of Turin. The Polytechnical University of Turin is at the top ranking at the international level of technical university, so it's a very important cooperation that we have with this Italian university. I will share, in fact, for that reason, the presentation of the report together with Professor Bompard, who unfortunately he could not be here because he had a die in his family yesterday, but he will be anyway connected for making his presentation after this. Before starting with the presentation, let me point out that this report on Croatia is the spillover of a large project of analysis on energy in the Mediterranean that we have exactly in cooperation with the Polytechnical School of Torino. Since 2019, every year, SRM and the Polytechnical School produce together an annual report on energy transition in the Mediterranean region with key numbers for each of the 21 countries facing all around the Mediterranean region, and each year with a specific focus. In 2019, the focus was on natural gas, because natural gas, as you know, is the buffer for energy transition. In 2020, the focus was on solar and wind RES production. 2021, the focus was on hydrogen. 2022, the focus was on biofuel. You can see a certain red line between all these focus year after year. Last year, the focus of the report was on geopolitics of energy, with a strong analysis of raw materials that are necessary for renewables. If you want, all these papers, which are in English, you can see and read it, download it in our website. So, the report on Croatia that we present today, which is a 50 pages paper full of data and analysis, has been produced also thanks to the know-how of the previous report, and this is the reason why I wanted to mention it. As you can see, this outlook provides a comprehensive overview of the Croatian energy landscape, highlighting the main trends, statistics, policy initiatives, and the major investment in the sector. And you also have the Q code to download the digital version if you want. So, this is the outline of my presentation. I will start with a global overview on the energy in the Mediterranean, exactly for the reason I said, because we have a project of analysis on energy in the Mediterranean region, considering that Croatia, as Italy, are both countries with a key position in the Mediterranean, but also a key position in the European context. Then I will move on the key Croatian energy indicators, and I will conclude on the new role of ports as strategic energy hubs. After me, Professor Bompard will enter more deeply inside of Croatia energy system, also in comparison with other Western Balkans and EU countries. Let's start by checking the Mediterranean context. We know that Europe has historically been dependent on fossil energy import from the southern shore of the Mediterranean. Considering all countries, you can read, facing the Mediterranean, the majority of proven reserves of fossil sources are located in the southern shore, which is the North Africa region, North African countries. 94.9% of fossil sources. The countries of the European side of the Mediterranean has always been dependent on the southern shore to fulfill a considerable portion of their oil and gas supply. 18% is the percentage of trade between south to north for oil and 27% for gas. Even if this energy trade is still important, and we know it's quite important and essential for all European countries, now, due to the European Union decarbonization goal, it's time to move to to move from a fossil-based dialogue of cooperation between the two shores to a green energy cooperation across the Mediterranean. In the countries of the southern shore, the promising solar and wind potentials are in contrast in a certain way with the very little, for the moment, share of renewable capacity. You can see exactly that in the North African countries, the installed electric capacity is produced for 90% for using fossil, while only 10% is produced with renewables. But this picture is evolving rapidly. The target is very ambitious, as you can see, and the new investments are coming in solar and wind plants in North Africa. Many of these countries, the example is Morocco, the example is also Egypt, have already approved a strong and ambitious roadmap for green hydrogen, for example, and new investments are coming in this sector in these countries. So what I want to say is that what we should have clear, I think, are 2 points that we should have clear in mind, and this is a key point of the reports that I mentioned before. So the project to have an outlook of the energy situation across all the Mediterranean. And we underline clearly in our report. The first one is that point. It is unlikely, even if we say it is unlikely that Europe will achieve decarbonization goals solely with increased internal RES capacity. The European Union will also need RES import, I mean renewables energy import from North Africa, and the Euro-Mediterranean cooperation is the only way to move from a fossil-based economy to a renewable-based economy. The second key point, which is quite important again, is that we need a multi-commodity approach. There is no one commodity which is the final solution for our problems. We need to integrate different commodities. We need to invest to integrate electricity from renewables, hydrogen, geothermal, solar, wind. I mean, we need the mix. And we need the creation of a trade of race-based energy commodities across the Mediterranean and across the Adriatic, of course, which is a key part of the Mediterranean, through electricity highways. These grids can represent the backbone of the green energy dialogue between Mediterranean shores to transport renewable electricity across the Mediterranean. We need to improve pipelines to transport today natural gas, but in the future hydrogen, or again to mix, as it is already possible, blending natural gas and synthetic gas. And we need to secure maritime routes for ship, because there is also an important share of trade of energy by ship, so by sea, which is an important part also of my presentation. So now, having seen, I mean, the Mediterranean context, let's move on Croatia